Hey, Ein, welcome. Thank you for the kitties. Thank you, Kenny Ward Jr., 2022. Welcome to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale, have fun, pull up a chair, and don't fireball my tavern. Thank you, Senpai Shiny, for the Smurf check-in. Being here like swimwear. Okay. I've just started playing this game. I don't know the outfits yet. Hey Gomer, man, thank you for showing up, and thanks for the lurk, man. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to a Tabletop Tuesday. It's going to be a glorious day, so hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun here. We're going to be double hitting this, so let's get some announcements out of the way, and then we'll get into things. Announcement number 1, we have our first sponsor, which is Shockbite Gaming Servers. Link is down below. It's $2.50 a month, USD, and it goes up from there. And the servers are stable, you're easy to maintain, and they're fun to, to work out if you're into programming. But other than that, yeah, they're cool. Announcement number 2, we're always attempting to assist our artists. If you want to be added to our art list, please let us know, send us a link. Things of that nature. Thank you, Ein, for the Vibe Nation redeem. Our artists are Broken Looney and Yamek Arts. By all means, please check them out. They could always use your commission, and they do good work. Announcement number 3 is our sponsor for the stream and the game I'm going to be playing today, which is going to be Raid Shadow Legends. That's right, I am diving into Raid Shadow Legends for the first time while we're discussing D&D. So we're mostly going to be talking about Bards today. We may discuss some villain stuff. And basically villains that I've watched in history that may, inspired me to make good villains in D&D. But with Raid, Raid is, by the way, free to play, so thank God for that, because I'm poor as hell. It's on mobile, it's on PC, so if you have only have a phone, or if you have a decent computer, or both, you can play it on either. For a mobile game, from what I've seen of the pictures and the videos, the graphics look pretty damn good. Alright? I mean, they're pretty good. So let's go with that. I mean, it's nice. The gameplay is supposed to be simple. We'll see about that. Will be simple and fun. Oh, hey, look. Stream Elements kicked in with the link and the code. Thank you, Stream Elements, for that. It's always rated one of the top RPGs on, like, Google Play and a few other fun things, depending on what your, phone is. They have over 400 champions to collect. The only game I know of that has more champions than that is League of Legends, and dear Christ, League of Legends, I think, has an addiction. You can build a team, you can claim glory, you can do PvP or campaigns. That means it has PvP and PvE, and you're not forced to do either. So that is nice from what I've heard so far. And they add about 14 champions every month, so that's going to be interesting to see. And there's what they call a progression reward system. We're going to find out what that is. My goal is to spend $0 on this game and see how good this game is. We're going to have fun with this, all right? Now, my goal is to convince at least 5 of you to pick up this game.
I'm gonna say sorry if I randomly cuss if I stab myself in the finger pitting out peaches. Yeah, my wife is pitting out peaches, but because my wife is right behind me.
By kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boos.
Ow! That hit me in the fucking eye.
I wasn't trying to hit you. I was trying to hit you upside the head.
Ow!
I'm sorry. Want me to kiss me better?
Sure. Damn.
I'm sorry.
Christ.
I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to.
She hit me in the fucking corner of my eye.
I wasn't actually trying to do that. I was trying to smack you upside
the
head.
Yeah, that's why you don't fucking hit people.
I love you.
Christ. I'm sitting here getting beaten to death by my fucking wife.
I wasn't trying to actually do any damage.
God damn.
Would you like a peach?
Spousal abuse.
Yeah, I know. Alright.
I wasn't trying to actually do damage.
So let's try to pull up this game. Alright, so I'm going to double click here. It's going to hopefully load up. Maybe.
Showing up on your stream?
Not yet. I think I have to tell it to pick the game. So here we go. See. Come on. Coomer's going, abuse! Okay.
Wasn't trying to hurt
So we're going to try to
read. Bad.
The game is currently experiencing some sort of issue. Continue. Joy. Okay, let's
exit and reload.
Exit and yes, I want to stop. Wow. This is not going well already. Jesus. Alright, let's load it up through their launcher. It requires me to reinstall the game. The hell? How many times have I had to install this? I've installed it twice now. This is not going well, guys. Come on, sponsor, please. If somebody from the sponsorship ends up watching this or is on here, by all means. Hey, Wizen, what's up? We're about to try to play Raid Shadow Legends, apparently. But it's not working yet. Because, like most things with the stream, it gets scuffed initially. Because all my games are scuffed at some point. Raid Patch Legends, apparently. God damn. It's like, alright. Like, I know this game is decent, but for some reason, it's acting up. I don't know why. It's probably my computer. It's probably something stupid. For all I know. Who knows? Updating. Can I just hit play? Once installed, the game will start automatically. Okay, so I don't need to touch anything. I just need to let it do its thing. And hopefully my computer doesn't catch fire. Taz, hey bud, how's it going? Oh, it's going all right. I wasn't feeling all that great earlier, but I'm okay now. Doing some raid? I am trying to. I am making my attempt. Every time I load up the launcher, it wants me to reinstall the game for some reason. And I don't know why. You back, man?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, we're having our usual fun scuff time.
I was just wondering if they had like a regular patch day for it like they do on World of Warcraft.
I would think, but the thing is, it's fully reinstalling the game every time I load up the launcher.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's... Really? It's not... It's in a forever install state, because it hit the end of the install set. There's an error. We're reinstalling. I might have to just wipe the folder and try again. That's insane. Like, dang, guys, you done goofed on this. It shouldn't be this difficult.
I'm trying to see if there's any known like install issues.
Yeah. Knowing my luck, it's something like weird that, you know, doesn't come up that often. I got the mods working on Subnautica this morning.
And they all failed.
Cool.
Yeah, we had to remove a few.
Mm-hmm.
Because Inquisition's computer couldn't handle it.
Ah.
God damn it. Really?
Is Mercury in retro?
No, it's doing it again. Okay. So, we're going to do this the fun way. I'm going to delete the entire thing. And reinstall it. And while we're doing that, we're going to talk about Bards.
You don't have to stereotype.
I was going to say, I see a post on Reddit from a couple months ago where someone was having an install loop problem, and they said that they were only having it when a program called RSL Helper was running in the background. I guess that might be, is that an add-on or maybe a subsidiary program?
Hell if I know, man. I am not sure. Terms and conditions. I know there's a thing on here that gives me my link. Oh, there it is. Download the game through this personal link. Okay. Where Mad Hatter already have an account? Log in. Yes. Okay. Oh, I gotta enter in this two-step verification code. That's a problem because I hate you already. You're gonna be a pain.
Welcome, I was going to say the other thing is, I don't know how it does, like, update packets or whatever,
okay,
but,
I don't know how to welcome this person because it's a collection of, like, XN1C013X. Welcome to the tavern. Grab a mug of ale, pull up a chair.
Forgive me trying
have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. Alright. So, got that started. Here from Discord, how you doing? I'm doing fine. I was just like, that was just a little weird for me, and I was like, okay. Alright, raid setup. Let's do this again. Once more with feeling.
Is it always failing at the same spot?
What the? It's saying that the application's already on my computer, but it's not. I just deleted it. Like,
could still have registry entries.
Oh, you gotta be effing kidding me here. Oh, I'm gonna get really annoyed by this really quick. Okay, let's just restore the folder. Because there's an uninstall in the folder. I'll just use that.
Yep, there you go.
God damn, this is gonna... Yes, cancel the installation.
I will be right back.
Yep, no problem. I'm gonna go to just chatting so that way we don't have a big black screen of nothing.
Better than the blue screen of death.
Yeah, better than the blue screen of death. Alright, so Platinum Play is there now. Alright, can I bring up Platinum Play? Refresh. Should be on here somewhere. Let's C drive. E drive, Platinum Play, uninstall. Yes, I want to uninstall.
I picked this one and then
technical issues. Alright, we're gonna try this again. This is getting weird. And it should be working. So I apologize for that. So, Bards. In D&D, a lot of people seem to think that Bards are basically the thing that humps everything with a pulse.
And some things without.
And some things without, yes. I can tell you that's not always the case. Bards are definitely social characters. And they're very exceptional as social characters. But you can use them for a variety of things. They are the jack of all trades, master of all of them, technically.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Depending on how you build them. So, the big thing is, let's talk about stats for the Bard, because that's important. Strength, not that important on a Bard. Unless you're building a melee Bard.
Yeah, even then, I would hope that you're maybe planning to do, like, dex-based melee if you're doing, like, 5th edition.
Yeah. If you're doing 5th edition, yeah, dex-based melee all the way. If you're doing range Bard, like, you know, bows, once again, dex is important. If you are... then, beyond that, you got Con, which is... Con's okay for everybody. Con helps everybody a little bit.
Yep.
The uninstall is stuck. I'm not kidding. It's like... I'll pull out the snipping tool so I can show you what I'm looking at. It is forever stuck. Give me a second. Where are you? Here.
Okay, let me take a look.
There's nothing to do. It's a bar saying deleting temporary files, and then just stays there forever.
Wow.
Like, goddamn. Stop. I'm already getting pissed off.
I'm trying to make you smile and be a slight distraction from the
I know, but it's just like...
I'm trying to be cute.
I want to basically, you know, work with my sponsor here, but if my sponsor doesn't work with me, I can't do anything for them.
I mean, I would give it a few minutes to see if it's just stuck on like a particularly large file or if it's, you know.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But if this thing doesn't move by, like, I say 7:30, I'm just going to say screw, you know, putting raid on here and just label it as something else and then contact the sponsor and be like, your game don't work. Help me fix this.
Well, you know, and the thing with computer games and computers is everybody's individual home PC is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you'll run into weird issues because you've got software X installed or you've got this driver.
Oh, yeah. It's always something weird.
It's just not something that's easy to resolve in the span of, hey, I'm streaming right now. It's something you'd probably have to...
I don't expect them to fix it while I'm streaming. That's kind of ridiculous.
No. I was talking about you being able to fix it while you're streaming. That's, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, no. Alright, I'm going to change it from raid to just chatting for now. And change the title as well. Because apparently it can't do raid. So, nah, we are, we'll just label it as Bards and Villains. Because, raid be broken.
I'm sure you guys will figure it out.
Oh yeah, by hook or by crook.
But yeah, bards and ability scores.
Yeah, I'll run RimWorld because I know I can get the audience involved in that. Because that's a good game. Yeah, you were saying bards?
Oh, I was just continuing your thought. Bards and ability scores.
Oh, yeah. God, I just had my brain just jump tracks there.
We just got to the mental ability scores.
Yeah, the mental ability scores. God, my brain was just going dumb there for a moment. So, Charisma is the most important ability score for Bards. Hands down, no arguments, no contest, no nothing. It's just, that is the ability score for Bards. Your spells are based on it, your main class skills are based on it, and all your class abilities are based on it. With few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, especially in 5th edition, you need that. I would say that in like Pathfinder 3.5, you could build a bard with your charisma as your second stat, and you'd be okay, as long as you weren't worried too much about the spell casting stuff.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, sorry. Just a quick heads up to the audience. We have a Rim mod on here that allows you to buy things for the colony. Whether it's good or bad, you can mess with me or you can help me. Totally up to you. You could also spend 1,500 points to add yourself to the colony. So have fun with that. I just sent the link on how to do that. Okay, moving on. I would say the other important, though, ability score, hands down, is intelligence.
Yes. Especially in 3.5 Pathfinder. Slightly less so in 5th edition, but yeah, intelligence is huge because in most variations, a high intelligence score gets you more languages, which is great if you're playing the face. Intelligence is also key for knowledge skills, which is basically what the party is probably keeping you around for. So yeah, intelligence, very, very key. And back in the Pathfinder days, if I had a charisma secondary bard, then they were almost always an intelligence primary bard.
Yeah, for all those extra skill points.
Yes.
Like, good gods, that is a lot of things you need. And then, of course, there's wisdom. Wisdom it's a decent mental stat to have, but it's not the most needed for a bard.
Wisdom is good for everybody, just like Constitution is good for everybody, because you don't want anybody failing a will save and turning against the party. It's also
in Pathfinder 3.5 in 5e, a lot of spell checks are wisdom saves or con saves or dex saves.
Yeah, and in Pathfinder it would be fortitude or will saves. So yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. With bards, your spells are for the most part illusion and enchantments. That is
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not the one I wanted.
You've got a lot of like manipulation and soft spells, so to speak. You do have some abjurations in there that are handy.
Oh, yeah.
You do have a few miscellaneous grab bag spells from other classes, like you're the only arcane caster with cure spells in 3.5. So, I mean,
is weird.
Yeah, but I've always loved the lore about a bard being the class that sort of goes through other classes' pockets and picks up a few useful spells.
Or like accidents their way into magic.
Sure.
Like that's also a common lore reason behind it. Is just like you kind of just accidentally yourself into spell casting, and you're like, I told a joke once to a goblin and his head exploded. It was weird.
I will say I've heard that version less often. Usually it's more of the for the games I've been in. Hey, you know, I've been traveling the world for 5 years. I spent a couple days at this wizard college, and yeah, I watched them do a couple of tricks, and now I can do this.
Oh yeah.
It just extending the jack of all trades thing, where the bard just kind of picks up stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because that I'm trying to think of how to describe where my brain is going because my brain cannot think straight. It is what it is. It's like, brain, come on, work with me here. I'm having like severe ADHD brain.
Oh.
It's annoying the shit out of me today. So for skills, since Bard is a skill-heavy class, let's talk about the skills that they use. At least in 5e first. Alright?
Sure.
And then we'll cover Pathfinder next. Because Pathfinder skills are a little bit more extensive.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, Arcana is super helpful for a Bard in 5e. Hands down, it's how you know magic. It's how you understand it. It's how you research it. It's how it goes. Intimidation is a face skill. You're a face character. Do the math. It's not hard. You're like, and you don't have to be the big, scary brute to be frightening.
True. I mean, you can make the icy verbal threats. I will say that of the various social skills, I mean, you've got the different suite of social skills, and depending on what edition of the game, they might be called different things. But you've got scaring people, lying to people, and persuading people as your three biggies. And it kind of depends on what you want to be good at. And I would always say that a bard should probably... even if you're not the face character, and you're probably the face character, but even if you're not, you always want to take one of those so you can get yourself out of a jam. You probably want to take two. I don't know too many people who are very, intent on taking all three. So Intimidate is usually the one that I don't take of the three, just because that's just not how I tend to want to play my bards, but it's certainly a valid way to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. For me, I usually recommend, I take Intimidate on my bard. Like, I go a little different with it. But that's because how do I put it? I do those, like, little quiet, friendly Intimidates.
Sure.
Where it's like, like my character makes that jovial joke real quick, but in reality they're laying it on thick. That's like, I will end you if you even act up.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. So it's sometimes useful, but not always needed. So there is that. So like, the face skills are, of course, what we're talking about is intimidation, persuasion, and sense motive. In 5e.
Deception.
Oh, and deception. Sorry.
Those are the I guess offensive face skills. Your sense motive, insight, or whatever you want to call it, is your defensive face skill, which is always a good choice.
Yeah. So you got deception, insight, intimidation, persuasion, and that's it, I believe, right?
I mean, you've got your three basic offensive styles, and then your unified defensive social skill.
Why isn't what's going on? Why isn't just went like, oh my fucking god? I don't know what's going on with him. I think he's having like a seizure or something. Knowledge skills are always helpful. Oh, you're a little late.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
As I was grabbing the bite to eat at Tim Hortons, I ordered a habanero chicken wrap, chocolate croissant, and a chocolate chill. Basically a cold hot chocolate. Okay. And what happened? I have a feeling there's a story behind this.
Something didn't come out right.
Was it just the best thing you ever had?
It was either the best thing you ever had or the worst. They gave me a strawberry chill by accident, which is fine. I like strawberry. And I didn't want to taste the drink. Okay. So I
didn't want to waste the drink.
Waste the drink. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on here. The drink, to be clear, is a large pink thing with whipped cream. I'm fairly certain that ain't chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him the strawberry by accident.
Yeah. You would think they would have noticed that, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've got very, very low expectations sometimes of accuracy when it comes to restaurant stuff.
That's fair. While I was waiting for my sandwich, the table started commenting on me, masculine person holding a pink thing. New world. Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God. That is horrible, man. That is bullshit. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
I was at Walmart. Was it this past weekend?
The people of Walmart.
And I was in the office supply aisle looking for some envelopes because I'm down to my last one or two in the box I've got. And, you know, it's been years. And I looked on the shelf and they didn't have the kind I wanted. And I was like, oh, doesn't look like they have any. And a dude in the aisle who I had basically, you know, he had basically said, hey, I'll be out of your way in a second. And I'd said, that's no problem, you know, been really polite. As he heard me say, you know, oh, I guess they don't have envelopes, he's like, welcome to Joe Biden world. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure Walmart has failed to stock items for the 40 years I've known Walmart.
Yeah, it's like the entire existence of Walmart, they have messed up at least once on stocking an item.
I mean, basically I go to Walmart every week, and every other week I can count on them to not have something I want. And this has been true before COVID. This has been true before the current presidential regime, before the previous presidential regime, before the previous presidential regime.
Yeah.
It's just Walmart. It doesn't stock things consistently. So yeah, it's like I think my response was, I don't think he has anything to do with it, and the guy was like, yeah, he does, and then he left.
Okay, have fun.
And I'm like, all right, cool, man.
All right. We've definitely wandered off the beaten path.
Just Wisen's situation reminded me of that. Is some people are gonna be cranky assholes, no matter where you are.
Oh man. Speaking of cranky assholes, you can play a cranky asshole bard and be a villain.
Bard villains can be fun.
Oh yes. Oh, you can do heinous shit with that. Let's see what we got for Pathfinder.
I mean, Pathfinder has the more expanded skill list.
Yeah, has the more expanded. Once again, we have the social skills, which are diplomacy in Pathfinder, intimidate, sense motive, bluff.
And yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing with Bard in Pathfinder. You don't need to take those skills and you may need to put some points in them initially. But inevitably you get this ability called versatile performance. And as long as your performances mesh well, social skills wise, you get all 4 social skills for the cost of 2 performances.
Can you get sense motive from versatile performance? I didn't think you could.
Versatile performance Pathfinder. Give me a second. I'll tell you which one it is. Because I actually looked this up recently.
That is a weird thing.
Versatile performance. You can get sense motive from oratory.
Huh.
You can get sense motive from singing as well.
Interesting. I guess just learning to read the room.
Yeah, I guess. That would be my guess. Oratory makes more sense to me because it's all about giving speeches and stuff. So, like, being able to read the room and to modify your speech as you're giving it makes sense. Not so much with singing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a bit of a stretch.
So, comedy and oratory, if you took those 2, would give you all 4 social skills.
Yeah. Comedy and oratory. And you would never have to pick up an instrument.
Yeah.
And that can be broken. Another skill that I don't know if 5e has it. I think 5e does. Does 5e have use magic device? No, it does not.
No, because everybody can just use magic items.
Yeah. Fun.
Well, I mean, given the other changes that 5e wrought to magic items, I think it is very reasonable that they decided, yeah, if you have a scroll of fly, you can just read the scroll of fly. It's a simplification. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
Although I think use magic device was a cool, flavorful skill, like being able to, oh, it's a holy avenger and I'm chaotic good. It doesn't like that, but I can basically bluff the sword using use magic device to make it think I'm lawful good.
All right, welcome Flux LA to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale, pull up a chair, have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. What's up? We're going to be playing some RimWorld today while we're talking about some D&D. We're educating people on D&D today. So that is... God damn it, Wisen! Wisen just fireballed the tavern.
Yeah.
I have to keep repairing things. I'm going to start putting anti-magic fields down eventually. I swear. But then that makes all the useful spells I have in the area, you know, not as useful. Oh, okay. I'm not a big fan of D&D, but I enjoy watching it. What was that, huh? No, you can't do it in particular for one spell. Doesn't work like that. So 5e does have the backgrounds.
Yeah.
Where Pathfinder has traits. So they're both kind of fitting the same role, which is backstory for your character.
Uh-huh.
For 5e, Courtier is kind of cool. It gives you 2 face skills and 2 languages for free, which that is really nice for a bard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Criminal's good if you want to basically replace the rogue in your party, and that means you're planning on taking College of Shadows. So
yeah, I mean, basically, depending on what role you need to fill in, you have lots of options. And yeah, if you're going to be the party rogue, absolutely.
Urchins, once again, party rogue, urban bounty hunter, pretty customizable. It's pretty lenient both way, like any direction you can really work with it, make it do whatever you want. Faction agents, kind of the same way. It's fairly customizable with what skills it gives you. And it also gives you, as long as a member of your faction is in town that you're in, you get free room and board.
Okay.
Which is sometimes helpful if you want to try to stay, hidden. So there is that.
Yeah, I think with my recent bard, I ended up taking the investigator background, which was very handy.
For races, basically anything that improves your dex and your con, or not your con, sorry, your dex or your charisma, probably going to be pretty good options. I would highly recommend those.
Anything that also gives you bonuses to face skills or, helps you cover more gaps in the party. Half-elf bards are classic and cliche for a reason. The half-elf race works very well with bards, no matter what edition of D&D you're playing, pretty much. So,
yeah. Alright, I found out it doesn't produce any power, which is annoying. Yeah, because some people don't realize, like, stereotypes do exist for a reason. Senpai Shiny just yeeted something. So let's yeet it. Yeah. I would say, honestly, if I were to... It's okay. Oh, shit. How do I want to put this? I'm trying to think of wording, and my brain is not letting me. Thank you, Dead Smurf, for the 20 biddies. Hey, how you doing, my friend? The little owlbear there loves being fed, and thank you for feeding him. What was I going on about with Bards?
Skulls for the skull throne! Blood for the blood god!
Inquisition has arrived.
That's a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, he chose it and he liked it, and I was like, that fits him too well.
Go ahead and throw mine in there.
If I ever have an artist rendition, all of us as like little cartoon avies, you're gonna be that little turtle with the freaking maracas.
That's fine. Literally everywhere I go on the internet, I use that CandidGamera handle and a picture of Gamera.
Yep. Oh man. Oh jeez. But yeah, stereotypes races exist for a reason, because they tend to, not always, be effective.
Sure.
And they are usually potent as hell.
Now, I do like the move away from fixed race ability score mods that 5e is undergoing, because I think we'll see some more interesting bard types arise.
Right.
I eagerly await the plethora of dwarf bards, that specialize in like drums or something.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
I'm kind of down for that idea. Because, like, there are some changes that, that Tasha's made that I was, like, kind of like, I'm not cool with this, but I'll deal with it because it's just a game. I don't need to get my panties in a twist. And then there were some things I looked at, I was like, this is kind of cool. I like this idea. We should have more of this. And so, it was very much like... You know how it is. Some things, like, you look at it and you go, okay, I like this idea, and other times you're like, nah, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know, there were some things I just looked at, I was like, okay, this is a little weird, but we'll take it. Like, I'm okay with changing pretty much everything about a race. That's A-okay to me. I do not understand why people lost their minds over it to this day. It was just very much like, okay.
Well, I mean, people got used to having things a certain way, and change frightens them. But you have to realize that a lot of these races have been carrying baggage for 50 years almost at this point.
Yeah, like, if not more.
I mean, D&D came about in 74, so a lot of the... And you're right, some of these things were kind of born from, like, Tolkien and other sources. So a goblin's always been, a goblin. And nobody ever stepped back and said, hey, do we want to reevaluate this? Do we want to just keep carrying forward the same tropes and being the same thing forever? Or do we want to think about this?
Yeah.
So the idea that goblins are kind of like, ancient fallen fae folk, that's cool. It, jibes with folklore. It's neat to have that angle in there.
I liked what they did in Pathfinder with gnomes.
Sure, yeah. Pathfinder, and they're like the gnome moods, and they're bond to nature.
Well, not even just that. Like they're also like they were part fae almost.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. I liked that. I was like, okay. Same thing with the elves. Like, they didn't make the elves like the Tolkien elves entirely. They had, like, solid color eyes and all kinds of weird stuff.
So, a little side note, bit of trivia that I've always found interesting. D&D elves and Tolkien elves are a lot alike, but there's a real important difference that I don't know when it came about or where it came from, but Tolkien elves are taller, or at least as tall as humans. D&D elves, up until Pathfinder, at least, are not. They are shorter than humans.
Yep.
And I don't know why, like, everything else is Tolkien elves, Tolkien elves, Tolkien elves, all these things about D&D elves. But for whatever reason, they're like, yeah, you know what? Just knock 8 inches off their average height.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jit, what's up? My day's going okay. We tried to run Raid Shadow Legends earlier, and we had to switch to RimWorld because the game apparently didn't install right or something. It's still on deleting temporary files.
It borked itself.
It's completely borked. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do.
Contact the tech support and help them. They'll help you get it figured out.
Yeah, get it working, and if they can't get it working, we'll just cancel the sponsorship contract. No harm, no foul there.
I imagine you guys will figure it out.
Well, it's not like I've gotten anything from it.
Yeah.
I've tried uninstalling Wizen and reinstalling it. Like, the uninstall locks up. That's part of the problem. Change could be a good thing. And if I recall right, Pathfinder lets you make a race. This is true. We have the advanced race guide.
Yes.
Anne has broken to no fucking end.
I'm not allowed to build races anymore.
Yeah, she's been banned from making races.
I remember in one of your Game of Thrones style games that Dalton made a custom race so he could have free weapon proficiency with the Falcata.
Yeah. I was like, okay there, bud. It was just weird. Sometimes you can do that, and you do strange things.
I do like the tools to let you create your own races. That's very, very handy. And yeah, I had a player join my Pathfinder game, the last one I ran, and she had a particular kind of race in mind, and I basically built it using those tools. Was able to work it into my homebrew campaign setting, and let her play the exact thing that she wanted to play.
Which helps.
Yeah. I always love systems that give me toolkits. One of the things I love about the 3.0, 3.5 Pathfinder era is everything is like a set of Lego blocks. If I want to customize something, I could just add a few more bricks to it. Be it a feat or a class level or, whatever.
I think I'm going to have to go kill the Great Devourer, or else I'm going to have a bad day.
But, I'm very, very happy to see them doing away with, these races get charisma penalties. Therefore, if you make a bard of these races, it's going to be suboptimal, and, you shouldn't do that. It's good to see that getting broken out for all classes, not just bards. But, like I said, a dwarf bard that's kind of a drum specialist, or playing into the Scottish thing, a bagpiper. Oh my god.
Oh no. That would be crazy. But it'd be fun.
Oh yes.
Alright, so we have this beast called the Great Devourer. I don't know how much health it has, but that's its picture.
Looks like a rock.
It's a sandworm from Dune.
Oh, hey!
I am fighting the worm. When the sun burns out. Why isn't bagpipers could only invoke one emotion, though? Because the pipes are limited to one key, thanks to the drones. Alright, here we go. Oh, it's running! That's cute. Well, not for long. How is it still alive?
Looks like it's got some pretty good armor on it.
Yeah, definitely durable. I mean, I would have loved to, ride it into battle, but unfortunately it consumes vast amounts of, food.
Yeah.
And that's not something I want in my colony.
Yeah.
And when the game warns you when something is in your pen, that's usually a bad sign. It's like, what?
Oh my god. I thought that thing was gonna take longer to kill than Raid's Shadow Legends was gonna take to uninstall.
Oh, God. Alright. What else do we want to cover? Oh, for bards, feats. Feats don't mean as much in 5e as they do in Pathfinder, but you also get less of them.
Welcome,
Raid
traveler.
Live. Welcome, Shock Raid Live to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale, pull up a chair, have fun. And don't fireball my goddamn tavern, and stop summoning the fucking face huggers.
They didn't fireball your tavern, they fireballed your brain.
They didn't fireball my brain. They did
Shocking Grasp?
No. Phantasmal Killer.
Aha, there you go.
This is like, fuck that. Alright, did they finally get rid of that thing? Yes, they did. Good. Alright.
Yeah, bards and feats for Pathfinder, I could usually be counted upon to take some performance enhancing feats. You know, you wanted some extra rounds of performance sometimes. Things that make your bardic abilities affect things that they don't normally do. There were some advanced feats to like making them affect constructs or the undead, which could make it really cool.
Oh yeah, that's always helpful.
You might take a few magic feats. You know, like spell penetration was generally good if you're trying to, you know, get through magic resistance.
The stream seems to be going okay, shock rate. One of the couple of ones in 5th Ed I'd recommend, though, for a Bard are definitely Magic Initiate. Because it gives you more spells from other classes.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with more variety.
I'm planning to take that for my Bard that I'm running now's next.
Ulcer just basically fireballed the tavern again. I swear the guards are going to get summoned and they're going to come knocking down my damn door.
Oh no, he charred the ashes.
You charred the ashes. Yeah, that's right. You know, there's ashes left now. Oh my god. Another feat from 5e, Metamagic Adept. Basically makes metamagic feats far easier to use.
Okay.
And being able to do still spell or silent spell on a bard is beautiful. Because you want to be able to cast your spells sneakily.
Sure.
That's kind of a thing.
I will say that it was weird that under the old rules you couldn't, under Pathfinder, I think you could not silent a bard spell because the tones, the notes were a necessary component. But yeah, I do like that idea to kind of cast under the radar.
Oh yeah, that's always helpful. Especially if you have a lot of illusion and enchantment spells.
Yeah.
If you're a melee bard, Warcaster's helpful because it makes you less likely to get interrupted.
Yeah.
So that's good. Everything just flickered, didn't it? Alright, so if my stream summon goes poof, it's because I lost power.
I did see that light behind you blink a little bit.
Yeah.
Power while I'm trying to can. I'm gonna be pissed.
I will say that similarly in Pathfinder, the combat casting feat, usually a good find if you're planning on being at all close to the action.
Oh yeah.
Want that bonus to your concentration checks.
I will say though, one of the feats that a lot of people don't take, and I'm surprised they don't, is Discordant Voice. For a bard. And it's because what you do is you can use it to, whenever you use one of your spells that does a verbal component, you can choose to do also an additional 1d6 sonic damage. Which we all know is like, yes, 1d6 sonic, 1d6 damage isn't a ton, alright? But there are very few things that can resist sonic damage.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Discordant Voice now. It actually gives that to your allies. They deal a d6 extra sonic damage with weapon attacks.
Okay, their weapon attacks. I knew it was something like it added sonic damage to something, and I was trying to remember the exact details, and I thought it was their spells, but it's their weapons.
Yeah, so basically, when you're using Bardic Performance to create a spell-like or supernatural effect, allies within 30 feet of you deal an extra d6 of sonic damage with successful weapon attacks. It stacks with other energy damage a weapon might deal. Projectile weapons do get it, but they only get it if the projectile hits a target within 30 feet of you. So it's basically an aura around you of... enemies take an extra d6 sonic damage.
Yep. Apparently it's vote time. It's small raid, big raid drop, or big mech raid. Oh boy. see what happens. Small raid.
I usually try to take the nice choices.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I was going to expand this. Expand the zone. Boom.
Oh, I finished another run of Stellaris today.
Oh, how'd that go?
Pretty good. Decided to go a little more militarist than I normally do. Made myself a race of lawn gnomes. The mighty lawn gnomes. And,
oh, God.
I beat the Great Khan. I beat the Elgate. Well, no, the Elgate situation actually didn't manifest. The Crisis was the Unbidden, and I stomped them before they got past 3 systems and 2 fallen empires. Ended up the game declaring the Galactic Imperium and making myself the Galactic Emperor.
That works.
So, yeah. I'd never done it, so I was like, you know, I'll try this, and got an achievement out of it, so.
Nice. I know I want you. I feel like I'm missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 5. Alright. Where are they coming from? Oh, the southwest. Okay, so I can come down there.
I will say that Bard, prior to 3rd edition, was not a class that I was at all really interested in.
Yeah, it wasn't great in 2nd ed.
No. And it was weird in 1st edition. It was one of those classes where you had to gain X levels in this, and then X plus 1 levels in that, and it was just like,
Like, why? Why would you do this?
In 3rd edition, they finally made it a good playable class.
Which is, I'm glad for.
Yes. And I think, honestly, in 5th edition, it's one of the better classes.
Yeah, Bard is really potent. If you know how to utilize a Bard, oh my god, you can definitely wreck face. And you can wreck face hard.
Jack of all trades is incredible in 5th edition.
Oh yeah. I think it's called expertise, isn't it? No, it's Jack of all trades and then expertise.
Yeah, you get you get both those abilities. But Jack of all trades specifically says for ability checks where you don't have proficiency, you add half of your proficiency modifier. Ooh. Which is fantastic because all the skills you don't have, you're still kind of good at. Yeah. That counts for initiative too, because that's a dexterity ability check. Oh. I believe it counts for saving throws as well.
God,
because those are ability checks. It doesn't count for attacks, because those are not technically ability checks.
Jesus.
But basically, yeah. Any tool you want to pick up, sure.
Have fun. God damn.
So yeah, the Bard literally can just play any role. Yeah, they're going to be about a half step behind everybody else.
But a half step is better than no step.
Exactly. It's like, oh, we need somebody to pick this lock, and the rogue's unconscious. Well, the Bard can do that.
I got that. Or like, hey, we don't have a cleric right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with that ability. Expertise, which rogues get as well. Expertise is great. I, on my current Bard, combined expertise and perception with the observant feat.
Oh my god.
And so my passive perception is just through the roof.
Yeah, nothing gets past you.
We did actually get an ambush that because they had mystical abilities in the environment. Oh gosh, it wasn't. What were they? I always confuse them with Lucrata, and they're not Lucrata. It's oh gosh, the goblin bat-like demon things. Barghests. Barghests.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, so they actually managed to get the drop on us, despite my enormous passive perception. But that's noteworthy because it, you know, that's the only time it's ever happened.
And it takes a lot to get that.
Oh, yes.
To get to that point. It's just like, oof. So, there is that. Armor, when it okay, equipment when it comes to a bard. You want to be in light armor, if any, depending on your dex. Your weapons are going to favor dex. Definitely. Hands down. And anything that enhances your charisma or your dexterity, once again, super helpful. Or any of your skills. So any kits that help your skills or anything that helps you in your situations to do your role better, whatever role you fill into the party. Whether that's face, sneaky, fighty, whatever.
Bards are great also for carrying the weird magic items that are situational, just because they're so versatile. You want somebody to carry the party's decanter of endless water, the Bard's a decent choice for that.
Oh yeah, and they're less likely to get pickpocketed.
Yes, yes.
They're far less likely to do that. For spells in 5th Ed, surprisingly, there are some recommendations I have for spells. Because Bards are weird. Magic is a little weird in 5th Ed, but I'm still getting used to it. I wouldn't say weird. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's similar to 3.5, but it's different enough that it slightly throws me off. You know what I mean?
I had trouble at first with just the way that spell slots had changed in particular.
My biggest issue is spells of a higher level, like that little section.
Oh, okay.
Because, I'm not used to it. So I'm like, wait, what? There's this now? I can do this again?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So, with some of the spells I recommend for Bard, I would recommend definitely some form of cure spell.
Healing Word is a great bonus action spell.
Yeah. Just have something to heal your party with in a pinch.
Yep.
Especially if your cleric goes down. That's a good one. Charm Person is always a great spell to pick up. I'd highly recommend it. You'll get a lot of usage out of it. A spell that is both horrifying and useful is Heat Metal.
Heat Metal is one of the all-time classics going back to 1st edition.
Yep, aka Bake and Book. For those of us who've been around long enough, we know what Bake and Book is. Some of us are scratching their heads going, what the fuck is he going on about?
Enemy in full plate.
So, to explain Bake and Book, it's you have to have the Heat Metal spell. Alright? Your enemy, which is most of the time when you get to a certain level or higher, you tend to run into fighters, most common, sometimes paladins, who wear full plate.
Yep.
Full plate takes a long goddamn time to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Even with help. Out here like swim gear. So, thank you, Natmo, for the check-in. Thank you. And thank you, XN1 for the hearts. That's appreciated. I love it. So, if you're dealing with enemies who are obviously in heavy armor, and heavy armor takes a while to take off, you cast Heat Metal on the armor. And then you stay within 60 feet of them.
Mm-hmm.
But just within 60 feet. The armor person would have to spend their entire action to catch up to you. You just spend your movement action to get away from them.
Yeah.
And you keep it going. Eventually, they'll take, unless they're immune to fire damage, they'll bake to death.
I mean, it is a very devastating tactic. It can be ruined if they happen to have a missile weapon on themselves or a way to surge their movement so they can get up and bash your face. It's not like an automatic I win button, but it's so useful because basically you're putting a timer on them and they have to break your concentration somehow or they're going to just roast to death.
Slowly. They're gonna roast like a slow cooked meal. And by the way, if you happen to have a lizard folk in the party, he'll be appreciative of the warm meal.
Yeah. I will say that I have neither taken Charm Person nor Heat Metal on my current Bard, but they are both spells that I considered.
Yep. Now, in Pathfinder, there's a lot more options for spells. Cure Light Wounds, naturally.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I hug up my lungs here. Ear-piercing Scream, also useful.
That one's fun.
And while a lot of people like to take Sleep as a control spell, I actually have a different control spell I favor. And that is Grease.
Sure.
And the reason why is a lot of DMs I've interacted with when I've been a player, and I as well tend to favor the grease can catch fire. So the person slipping, sliding, trying to be able to stand up, and then you basically chuck a bottle of Alchemist Fire.
Or Spark.
Or the level 0 spell Spark. Congratulations. They're an Inferno now.
Because every single grease that would have been available at that time frame was flammable.
For other fun spells I recommend for a Bard, Invisibility. Everybody loves that spell.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're going to play the Horny Bard.
Glitter Dust to counter invisibility from other people. Because inevitably you're going to have your enemies start using invisibility if you pissed off your DM enough with invisibility.
Sure.
Because your DM will like, oh, I could play that game too. And you're like, oh, congratulations. I'm glad you joined the party. Here's some glitter.
Yeah.
How that spell works.
I will say that Glitter Dust is good, but I don't know. You have to know what squares they're in to make the Glitter Dust effective.
Yeah.
So
there's also Mirror Image. That's also helpful.
There you go. See, now Mirror Image is honestly in Pathfinder and any of the 3.0 derivatives. Mirror Image is, if you can cast it and you don't take it, you're an idiot, because it is just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It is one of the greatest defensive spells for arcane casters, full stop.
Oh yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, let's play roulette on can you hit me? Let's go.
I mean, if you have a single big bad enemy and, you know, a party of player characters, there's almost always going to be a huge action economy problem where your big bad villain's going to get his ass stomped. But you throw Mirror Image on there, and your big bad villain's going to have several more rounds of life to screw with the player characters.
Oh yeah. One of the best second level spells, by the way, for Bard, Tongues.
Is Tongue second?
Tongues is second.
Maybe in Pathfinder it is. I was just thinking of it in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in Pathfinder it is second level for Bards specifically.
For Bards, yeah. For Bards specifically, you get it earlier than everyone else. And dang man, it's worth it. Third level, Haste. Like, goddamn, does that need to be abused?
I honestly slightly disagree. I think by the time we got to Pathfinder, haste had been nerfed to the point where it's like, it's nice. It's not a must-take anymore. It's good, not for you, because it doesn't do shit for you, really. It's a good buff spell to cast on your fighter.
Yeah, your fighter, your monk, paladin, whoever. I mean, your melee people.
Whoever's going to be taking the full attack action and can benefit from that extra attack. Yeah, it's a good buff.
Yeah.
But I would say the most essential third level spell for a bard in Pathfinder would be a Dispel Magic.
That would be usually my second choice. It's usually Dispel Magic or Haste, and Dispel Magic's usually a close second for me.
Okay.
Mainly due to the fact that inevitably I always have some sort of melee fighter in my party, and they always need to get up into the shit. So there is that. Fourth level, Greater Invisibility is always great. Dimension Door is kind of cool. I'd say those two are really good.
Dimension Door is, yeah, basically an essential one in my book.
And beyond that, I mean, the only one I could think of is a 5th level spell, and that's Dispel Magic Greater.
Yeah. Not quite as essential, but yeah, that is pretty good. I'm looking at the list now, and I'm seeing Shadow Evocation at 5th level. Really cool.
Oh yeah, it's neat. It depends on the situation you're in, but I've never always taken Shadow Evocation.
I guess I like the versatility too much.
Well, I like versatility. Don't get me wrong. It's just sometimes I'm not the one doing the damage.
Sure.
And so, like, I end up having to give up some damage in return for filling a particular party role. Oh, excuse me. Once again, if you're looking for great armor for a bard, and I'm going to suggest this for practically every class, Celestial armor. It is really friggin' broken. It's hard to beat. I mean, once you hit the max dex cap on Celestial armor, you have a plus 17 to your AC.
Yeah.
And that is really brutal.
I will say that Celestial armor is medium armor.
Yeah.
So, depending on your bard, you might not have medium armor proficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Wait.
You would have to... the default bard is only proficient in light armor.
I thought
so you would...
Let me double check Celestial armor.
Celestial armor is based on chainmail, which is medium.
Right.
Now, Mithril makes it count as light for the purposes of some things, but not for proficiency.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you would have to take a medium armor proficiency to utilize it.
Yeah.
That could be problematic.
Honestly, if you need plus 17 to your AC, you're doing Bard wrong.
Yeah, at that point you're in the thick of the shit, and you shouldn't be.
The exception would be something like a Dervish Dancer, or one of the archetypes that is a melee base. But those tend to get either some kind of additional stat to their AC to make up for being a melee person, or medium armor proficiency. So
yeah. Now, I remember last week we didn't mention, and we forgot to mention, barbarians that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, famous barbarians or barbarian characters that are like barbarians, essentially. And we can do the same for bards, too.
Oh, you mean like characters in fiction and things like that?
Fiction, games, movies, media, fuck it, whatever.
Okay.
When we were discussing, how to maximize them out and all that jazz. For Barbarian, Conan is always an option.
Yeah.
A lot of people think about him when they think Barbarian. I'm trying to think of there are a couple of good options.
There's Minsk.
Yeah, he's not as well known, but he's there.
There's Fafard from Fafard and the Grey Mouser, Lankmar setting. He's pretty well known, especially if you're a fan of classic fantasy.
That's fair. That's fair.
If more Tolkien, you're looking at maybe Bjorn, the Bear Man.
The Bear Man. Yep. I'm trying to think of if there's any games that have any good barbarians.
Well, I mean, Minsk did originally come from Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, so, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's... Diablo has Barbarian as one of the classes in Diablo 2 and 3.
Yep, that's true. So there is that. So there's plenty of interesting options for bards. It's a little bit more entertaining to try to find a good bard.
So, I mean, I think bards in the era of D&D streaming shows have gotten more of their due, but you're right. You don't see a lot of classic bards in fiction because it's just such a weird concept that sort of came into D&D from different sources than the rest of it. Like, you don't look at Lord of the Rings and go, oh, well, that guy's a bard.
Yeah. Pre-Law Flipper, welcome. How you doing, man? I'm doing okay. Yeah, I agree with that. It's like nobody really... It's hard to find a good bard. The Witcher series has the guy who travels with the Witcher. I can't remember his name. Starts with a J. I know that much.
I was going to mention that, yeah.
He's a bard. A lot of people like to say Liliana from Dragon Age is a bard, but I'm like... She's more of a spy rogue than a bard. Like
That's fair.
She does have performances, but they are not her main shtick.
So I'm going to go with one weird classic game reference. I don't know if you've ever played these games. Have you ever played Quest for Glory?
No, but I can look it up real quick.
All right. It used to be called Heroes Quest, but then they changed the name at a certain point. But your protagonist can learn fighting skills, thief skills, and magic skills. And you can learn all of them. And yes, that would very much put you in the bard motif. It's not really that you're doing performances exactly, but yeah, that kind of breadth of knowledge puts me in mind of the bard. I'm also a big fan of the show from a couple of years ago, Gallivant, which was music, comedy, sword and sorcery show.
Natmo says Hero Quest is amazing. My friend has a copy.
Now, he could be talking about the board game, or the... he's probably talking about the board game, which is why the Quest for Glory series had to change its name.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. Though I will say, yes, Hero Quest was an amazing board game. Trying to think if there are any other good bard examples. Just people who are kind of good at everything, who are maybe social or kind of performance inclined. The Angel television show, the one about the detective vampire, had a character, Lorne, who was a demon.
Yeah,
who was
basically a bard.
Yeah, the owner of a karaoke bar.
Yeah, and he could see your soul if you sung.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a bard.
Trying to think if there's anything else that stands out to me. Usually when we had the fantasy movies that included the storyteller, bard type character, they're not the protagonist. They're at best like a side character.
Yeah, it's true.
Lord of the Rings has Bard the Bowman, but he's more of a ranger.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't really strike me as a Bard.
His name's Bard.
Yeah.
Let me think. Is there any other good fantasy stuff that might be a common touchstone for folks? I'm
not sure.
But yeah, bards are definitely less common in the general fiction. Though I think that has started to shift.
Joffrey Chaucer. Oh yeah, from I know one from like The Knight's Tale. That's one.
Right. Okay.
Like he's a bard.
You're right. I hadn't even thought about Knight's Tale in a while, but yes.
Yeah, that would be one. He is very much a bard. He may not have the magic, but he definitely has all the other stuff.
Yep.
But that's a non-magical setting.
Right.
So there is that. Did I spell villains wrong? I bet I did. Yes, I did. I'm an idiot.
Villians.
Villians. So I think we covered that fairly well. If you want to look up bards, just try to keep an understanding that they're people who do a little bit of everything, and they kind of cover whatever's missing in the party, and that's kind of your shtick.
And even if they're not the face characters, they are characters that are usually outgoing in a way. I guess you could play an introverted bard. It would be an interesting twist on the pattern. I also did want to circle back. We kind of breezed through the 5th edition spells a little bit. I wanted to single out 3 of my favorites from my current character.
Okay.
At the cantrip level, Vicious Mockery is fun and just a really useful cantrip. At 1st level, my favorite spell to cast on enemies is Dissonant Whispers, which it is great for. It deals psychic damage, and if it succeeds, it takes half damage, but if it fails, it actually has to take full damage and immediately use its reaction, if available, to move its speed away from you. We just had a fight with a dragon in the game that I'm in, and it flew over across the chasm and landed on a tower, getting ready to, fly over and engage us on its next turn. Jesus. And with Dissonant Whispers, and it had to fly all the way the fuck back to the other side. And then on its next turn, it flew back over and held its action, and then the other bard in the party Dissonant Whispered it again. And the GM's like, okay, I'm going to use one of its legendary resistances to make it pass that saving throw, because goddamn. It's just making the enemy constantly back away from you is so good. And then the last one I was going to mention that has come into handy for me, and I've mentioned it before, is Hypnotic Pattern. At 3rd level, it's good long range, and basically a 30-foot cube of people are going to have the worst day of their life if they fail that wisdom save.
Oh my god, yeah.
So, yeah, those are 3 that I recommend if you're playing a bard in 5th edition. In addition to Healing Word and Invisibility, those are excellent choices as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Oh yes, bard villains. Natmo mentions.
Oh, bard villains, yeah. That could transition to our next topic too. Villains.
Yes.
Bard villains. Let's see. Who are good bard villains?
Well, the villain of a piece of fantasy, often is multi-talented. You usually have the villains who are, both good in a fight and with, sorcery or whatever. So you definitely have some bard-adjacent stuff going on there already.
Yeah.
And of course, a great villain is often a master manipulator, so you've got the face skills. So while I don't necessarily think that every villain that fits that pattern is a bard, there's definitely bard-adjacent elements.
Which helps. Gotta go on drop. Okay, Natmo, you have a great day. Yeah, there's definitely plenty of adjacents, and those help.
Yeah. I love a slick, manipulative villain. It's one of my favorite villain tropes. I also like the really friendly villain. You know, I want the players to either A, sympathize with the villain's goal, so that they're questioning, like, well, yeah, he's doing it the wrong way, but we really like what he's doing, so how do we fight him? Or if they don't sympathize with the villain's goal, I want them to like him as a person. Like, he's really nice and he's outgoing, and it's like, yeah, he's trying to conquer the galaxy, but you can't stay mad at the guy.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it.
So yeah, Bard villains would be good in that kind of context. I'm trying to think of some actual villains that I would conclusively label as quote-unquote Bard villains, though, and I'm struggling at the moment.
Yeah, it's so hard to classify a Bard.
Right.
There's so much shit they can do.
Now,
I would say, if anything, and this is slightly going into Game of Thrones, I would say the closest thing we got to a Bard villain in Game of Thrones is Tyrion Lannister.
Tyrion is a very Bard character.
He's very Bard.
Not much villain in Tyrion.
Yeah, he's not a villain, but he's at least a Bard.
Yes.
So at least that's in the same vein.
I would say that Littlefinger, Peter Baelish, has a lot of Bard qualities.
Yeah, if he's not a Bard, he's a rogue.
Right. And that line can be fuzzy. Like, Littlefinger is a face rogue. And how do you distinguish between a face rogue and a Bard in a setting where magic is really, really rare?
Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah, and he seems to be more about social manipulation than sneaking.
Yes.
And manipulating people, which tells me that I feel like he's more Bard than rogue. Where Varys, I think was his name, the spider?
The spider, yeah. Varys.
He's more rogue.
Yes. I would say that I would agree with all of that.
Thanks, Ein. We've been letting it build slowly. You even have carpets. Yes, we're slowly working on better carpets for everybody. Like, some rooms have really nice carpets, other rooms have shitty carpets. So that's kind of the goal. We haven't completed the whole area yet.
I would say that one of the reasons we don't see as many out and out, like, oh, that's obviously a Bard villain, is just because the typical image of the Bard, you've got that swashbuckling thing that we more often associate with the hero than the villain.
Yeah. And not just that, but also, like, when we look at a swashbuckler, we tend to see them as rogues or see them as fighters.
I disagree a little bit. When I'm saying swashbuckler, I'm picturing, yes, they're agile, yes, they're good in a fight, but they're also charismatic, and that is what distinguishes them at least a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I think that the swashbuckler as a fighter is basically just a fighter that uses a different kind of sword. They don't have the flamboyance of a swashbuckler. Can you do it as a rogue? Absolutely.
But speaking of villains and making good villains, I will say the early Game of Thrones had some really good villains. I'm not sure how much of the show you watched.
I've seen all of Game of Thrones.
Okay. And the disappointment the last few episodes were?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, YouTube recently just went nuts on Tywin Lannister on my friggin' phone.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, I had not been looking up Game of Thrones videos. I hadn't been doing anything involving Game of Thrones. Most of my stuff was like D&D stuff, or some music, or the news. So apparently a combination of recent news, D&D, and the music I was listening to combined into Tywin Lannister video. That's the only logic I can think of in the algorithm.
Well, I mean, the other thing is he's in the first episode of the new Sandman series. That actor. Yep. So it may just be that he's been more in the algorithm's mind lately because people are like, oh, who plays this guy? Oh, he was Tywin Lannister.
Yeah. I will say this. Tywin, when it came to a villain, he was a master of manipulating people, but not in the way that Littlefinger was.
No.
He was more about manipulating the physical space to accomplish his goal, and being really good with subtext.
And Tywin relied upon reputation and intimidation, not really trickery so much. You didn't see Tywin Lannister fooling people, nor did he really have to lie to people.
Yeah.
That's more Littlefinger's side.
Yeah, no, Tywin for the most part was very much like, I'm gonna, tell you something, and whether you like to hear it or not, and enjoy.
Yeah, the two different styles, Tywin's more about, I'm a master chess master, and my pieces are going to be in positions such that you realize you're trapped in exactly where I want you to be when I want you to realize that. And Littlefinger is more like, okay, I'm going to be hiding the chess pieces so I can bring them on the board at the right time. And, Tywin's not doing that. He's just like, I'm thinking 5 or 6 moves ahead. I know exactly how to apply pressure. You've heard the horrible things that my family has done to people that piss them off, and you cross us at your own peril.
Yeah. And that's an interesting way to do it. Like, one of the things Tywin was really good about was controlling, like I said, the physical space, which was a good conversation was the video that came up, and it was brought up to me, and I was like, yeah, this makes sense. It's a good conversation. And it was his conversation with Joffrey in the throne room, where Joffrey was concerned about Daenerys and her dragons, and he basically wanted her taken care of immediately. And Tywin just came in there, and he was like, is there anything I can do for you? Like, what do you want? And he goes, I want, like, my reports on the small council. And Tywin's like, well, you're welcome to sit in the small council whenever you like. You're the king. Like, basically tell him, like, bitch, get your own information. Which was, I found that just hilarious, because, like, a person who didn't have a spine would have been like, oh, here, let me give you the reports, without even thinking about it.
I mean, Tywin knew that he was imposing enough and that Joffrey was weak enough that he could intimidate someone who literally had the power to have the guards cut off his head at any second.
Yeah, and he just walked over and went, sup. And he didn't physically bitch smack the kid, but he verbally did it. And did it in such a way that I felt like it stung maybe even more than Tyrion's physical smack.
Yeah. Twice.
And then it was like, and then like Joffrey also brought up the fact that it was like, oh yeah, why do you have the meetings all the way up in the small, Tower of the Hand? Why all the way up there? I'll have to walk all those stairs. And then Tywin quietly walks over to Joffrey. Well, like, there's like a good 3-second pause. And then he goes, we could have you carried. And it's like, The pause for me was the more important thing. If you're doing a villain, control when you speak. Don't feel you have to reply to your players immediately. Like, acknowledge they've spoken, like, look at them, but then take a few second pause and then speak.
And don't be afraid to use sarcasm.
Yeah. Sarcasm is also okay. But, like, that's, like, one good example. Another one was, like, when Tyrion was trying to talk to Tywin at one point, and Tywin was writing at his desk, and he wrote at his desk for, like, 30 seconds, I swear to God, or something like that. And eventually, you know, Tyrion spoke up, and so on and so forth, which allowed Tywin to control the conversation better.
Yeah.
It's little moves like that. You can control the game so much easier. Axel, I'm alright, man. How are you doing? So I definitely recommend that highly. It's just utilize pauses. There's nothing wrong with a well-timed pause.
Sure.
I feel like that's important.
Well, you know, a controlling personality will control the tempo of the conversation. They will pause. Sometimes they'll interrupt. And sometimes they'll just, you know, barrel through once they get on the point and they feel like they can kind of bowl through somebody and just kind of bowl them over. Yeah, Tywin is a very controlling person, and he will control the pace of the conversation.
Yeah. And that does help make a good villain. I'm trying to think what else. God, my brain not working with me today. The fun times when your brain decides it doesn't want to behave and just basically goes, yeah, dude, I'm gonna make you forget shit all day.
Tywin, I think, was also... He's almost too basic to be, like, a really grand villain. Like, he's a really good villain. But all he wants is to make sure that his family, you know, stays in its prosperity and power. And that's all he's got. He's got very basic goals. And that's fine. But, you know... he wouldn't necessarily make a good, big, grand, evil guy running your entire plot. It's like, if he gets this, he's done. He doesn't give a shit about anybody at that point.
Yeah, my recommendation is if you're going to do a Tywin-like villain, make him like a middle person.
Or a side villain. Like, basically, this is not the main villain. This is another problem that has come up. Not everything has to tie into your quote-unquote main plot.
That is true. You don't have to have everything in the main plot. And he would make a good side villain, too.
Right. And in a typical, like, D&D campaign, he might even be someone that the players can negotiate with to help fight against the real villain, as long as they're willing to help him advance his goals.
Oh, yeah. A villain can at times be the nicest person you could meet.
Yes. One of my favorite villain tropes is like I said before, the nice guy villain. And one of my favorite versions of this was Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, The Mayor.
The Mayor.
And the mayor's goal was essentially to sacrifice all the people of Sunnydale so he could power his metamorphosis into a giant demon thing. But he was just the most polite guy you'd ever meet. He didn't like, you know, when people swear. He was, you know, shaking hands, and he was just cheery. And it was just great. I love that villain trope.
Yeah. And that's a good villain trope, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, the average townsperson is not going to suspect him.
That's a big part of it. But it's also nice for the heroes to basically get just that, like, is this really the villain? Do we have the wrong guy?
Are we the baddies?
Nice. Well, not necessarily that far, but, you know, that can be part of it.
Hey, Codename, how's it going? It throws the audience off. Yeah, it's like, is this the guy we should be killing? I don't fucking know.
You know, they might wonder if he's got a split personality, or maybe it's somebody in his office, not him, that's doing it. But it's also a fun kind of archetype to play, because when the villain, even after they know he's the villain, when they're talking to him, you can be all cheery, and it's like, well, you know, I understand your guy's point, but I'm sorry, everybody's just gotta die. Yeah. Can I get you a coffee first?
It's like, wait, fucking what? Makes villain likable, so when they do some crazy-ish, you can understand the villain's perspective. Yeah. Another fun villain, though, to play, and this was a movie that was subverting the villain trope, was Megamind.
Megamind, yes.
I like that. It's like there can't be two supervillains. I was like, you're a villain, all right. You're just not a super one. It's like, well, what's the difference? Presentation.
Yes. It's one of my favorite moments from one of my favorite movies. I've used that GIF many times. I love that clip. Megamind is a great example of the villain because he was misunderstood and had a poor upbringing, and then he becomes a natural hero, and it's great.
Yeah, he fits right.
But yeah, you're a villain, all right, just not a super one. That whole bit in the movie is just gold.
Oh, it's great. I love it. That is the type of stuff, like, if you want to put subversion in your D&D game, Megamind is a great inspiration to take from.
Oh, yes.
Another one is The Incredibles.
Sure.
The Incredibles is great. I found myself using Etna on several occasions. If you just need some crazy old crafter woman that's helping your party out in the long term, Etna mode is a great choice.
Sure. I will also say, though, that going back to the villain in that piece, Syndrome has a good motivation. He's got ties to the hero. That's a good way to kind of make it personal.
Oh yeah. Not to mention he fourth wall breaks without fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
And that was good too. Like if you want to be able to fourth wall break in your game without actually stepping out of character, look at Syndrome's line, what was it? Oh yeah, he goes like, "You caught me monologuing." Yes. Yeah, that line, straight up, you can use something similar to that and utilize it for great effect.
You sly old dog, you got me monologuing.
Yep.
Yeah, Syndrome is fun. And I think, he's fun in some ways the same way as Megamind is fun because he's flamboyant. And not every villain has to be flamboyant, but it is nice to work in some flamboyant ones, because for every Tywin Lannister who is just basically, I'm here to, get shit for my family, that's all I care about, you occasionally got to have somebody who is a little more ridiculous, a little more over the top, just silly. Not even necessarily silly, but just animated and big and loud.
And bombastic.
Bombastic, that's a great word for it.
I love it, just bombastic and full of life.
And that will give you some fun stuff to play as a GM.
Yeah.
And your players will play off of that very nicely.
Another thing I want to mention because this is something that I've noticed with villains. People tend to give the human villains, or the humanoid villains, more personality than the monstrous ones.
Okay, sure.
By all means, make your dragon bombastic.
Oh, yes.
If it's intelligent. make him or her larger than life. Like, I remember one time when I was running a one-shot and had a dragon in there, before I went to go run the one-shot, like, my random music player was playing, and Poor Unfortunate Souls played. So, I changed the dragon's gender from a male to a female, and I just channeled my inner Ursula through the dragon.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. It fucking sucked to deal with. Because the dragon started singing. You literally made the dragon start singing. For the giggles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I will say that that's absolutely true. You know, just because a villain isn't humanish in shape, you know, doesn't mean they can't have a big personality. Dragons are great for that.
Any intelligent foe can be good for that. Any.
Yeah, I remember my Pathfinder game. They went up against a beholder, and it was the toughest fight they had, I think, the entire campaign, because even the one we ended on, they didn't get pushed to the brink of defeat the way that the beholder did. And it was fun to play up just the disgust that the beholder species has for just the humans. Like, you know, how they walk around these two little flesh pods. It's disgusting. And just his revulsion at them was kind of fun to play up as an element. Because from his perspective, they're the ones that look weird.
Oh yeah, and that some people need to keep that in mind, that like other races are gonna see you, your humanoid races, as the ugly ones, the odd ones. All right, Ulster, you have a good night, man. Excuse me. I mean, to them, you are the weird one. You are the ugly one. You're the odd one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to sometimes conceptualize as a DM for some people.
Yeah.
The appealing one.
Yeah.
Lizard folk aren't going to find humans appealing.
Well, they'll find them appealing in a different way.
Eh.
What I mean.
They'll be appealing their flesh off.
That's one way to put it.
But yeah, I mean, you want a good mix of your basic jobber villains that just want the one thing, and your grandiose villains who are just fun to play. And always maintain at least a few characters that could be villains. They might not be villains. Make it ambiguous enough that your players at least have to think about it.
Yeah. You don't want your players to always assume who's a villain, who's not a villain, and be right all the time.
And sort of related to what Inquisition was saying earlier, or somebody mentioned it, the idea, you sometimes want your players to relate to the villain's goals, and I talked about this earlier, but it's like, yeah, maybe there's a horrible emperor, and the villain wants to bring him down, and even the players are like, you know, we don't like him, but the way you're going about it is murdering too many innocent people. It will at least give them the temptation, like, maybe we can persuade this guy to do this a different way. Maybe. you know, because you don't want every villain to just be a target to be crushed into the dust.
Yeah. You want some of them to have those wonderful questions like, should we be doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, yeah, you do want the, you know, crush the dude.
Yeah.
And that happens. You just need a healthy mix of both.
Yes, and also don't forget some non-villain challenges. I just was looking over a list of old campaigns. And I was reminded that one of the campaigns I run from time to time, Agents of Weird, is basically a modern era supernatural secret organization that tries to keep weird shit out of the eyes of the public, like sort of like the X-Files. If the X-Files people knew that it was real magic, but they wanted to make sure nobody found out. Warehouse 13's a good touchstone too.
Oh yeah.
But the last adventure I ran for them so far is they were investigating some disappearances around a Vermont ski lodge, and the villain of the piece was essentially a giant alien ice spider that was buried beneath a mountain. But the complication that was causing them the most problems was a Weekly World News style tabloid reporter that had gotten onto the scent that something weird was going on. So their main obstacle was trying to keep her from getting enough information to expose the stuff. While the threat was the spider, she was kind of the antagonist at the very least. So that was a fun situation. It's like, well, we can't just kill her. She's an innocent human being.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But yeah, I love to play with villains in my current Star Saviors game. The party, one of the villainous organizations the party's come across is the Church of the Void, which are basically magic space priests who worship the emptiness. And generally speaking, they've heard of the horrible powers that these guys have. They know that the leader of the church is a major asshole. And on the space station they recently visited, they came into contact with one of the priesthood. But she was more ambiguous, and they were like, I mean, she's a void priest, so she's bad, right? But as it turns out, well, she's a little more in the gray area, so they think they might be able to work with her. But it was fun to see them kind of like, oh god, what are we gonna do?
Like, shit. It's like, how are we gonna deal with this shit?
Yeah, especially one of the characters has a complication. He's basically the heir to the throne of an empire that was overthrown by the guy the Void Priest works for. So he's like, oh shit. And like the first encounter, I had her make a roll, and she recognized him, and he knew that she recognized him. So he's like, oh god, is she going to turn me in? And like bounty hunters. So that really put them on edge for a while.
It's like, we could be fucked.
Yeah.
Like, we could seriously be fucked right now, but we're not, thankfully. Oh man, that's always the fun situation there. Or putting the players in a situation where they have to work with the villain to deal with a greater threat at the time.
Yes.
Like, I did that in the Star Wars game. Where you had all those ancient weapons that were floating around doing damage, and you had to work with a couple of the villains to stop them. Hey, Blair,
yes,
how's it going?
I love a good hero-villain team-up. It's one of my favorite tropes in fiction, and yeah, it's just a hoot to watch it play out.
Excuse me while I hack up my lungs again. Man, I'm gonna sit in the nice hot steam for like half an hour after this. See if I can recover from all this crap.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing good, Leonard. I'm glad. Oh. I'm trying to think of other good villains you can always emulate. They're always helpful. If you're looking for lawful evil, I definitely recommend the Lex Luthor type. He's a good guy to pull things from.
Sure. He's, the classic archetype of, I think I know more than everybody else, and why aren't you all listening to me? And that's a great, that kind of arrogance can lead you to do some very flamboyant stuff with the villain. He can be very bombastic. or you can play it a little more subtly, so it can go really either way.
And it doesn't always have to be consistent either.
True. And it also, if you know that this villain is essentially defined by his tremendous ego, like he knows best, that gives you a way to potentially work with him should the need arise. It's like, well, we just appeal to his ego. Maybe we can, get his help on this problem.
Like, what was it? The end of I think it was Justice League Unlimited, where it was Metatron, whatever his name was, the guy in the chair.
Metron.
That guy.
Yep.
He tells Luthor is like, yeah, in order to bypass this wall, you need to have a 12th level intellect. And like Luthor just kind of scoffs at him and goes, well, then I'm overqualified.
Yes.
I mean, that's a prime example right there. Shit, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Metron was trying to manipulate him, but yes, that does work. But yeah, the lawful evil villain can be your guy with a code of honor, and it's just that he's got limits on what he'll do, but they're not the same limits that polite society would like him to have.
Or the good aligned party may not want him to have.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it could get heinous real quick with those guys. My God, I want to say Lex Luthor is sort of a bard, but he's also like...
He's more of an investigator.
Lex Luthor is an artificer.
Yeah.
He doesn't map onto any of the base classes very well, but Artificer is probably your best bet. He is absolutely very skilled. He's a super scientist, so you've got some use of magic or its equivalent in the genre there. What he doesn't do is he's not very... how do I put this? He's not a super duper charismatic guy. Like, he's charismatic enough to get by, but in most depictions he's still kind of unstable and doesn't really pull off the face stuff that well. Like, yes, he did get elected president in the comics, but that's more of nobody really knows what I get up to in my spare time with my battle suit.
Because apparently cameras don't work anymore.
Well, at the time that happened, we didn't have ubiquitous cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would say he also is not that much of a fighter. Like, he's not a physical threat. Yeah, he can put on a battle suit, but a wizard can cast Tenzer's transformation. So honestly, if I had to exclude Artificer and make him anything, it would probably be a wizard.
That's fair.
He's defined by his intelligence as his primary stat.
Yeah. I can't think of any comic villains that really stand out for charisma.
Oh, well, let me help.
Yeah, I'm not as well versed in comics as you are. The closest one I can think of is Anna. God damn it! Fucking lungs, man.
Closest one you can think of is
Loki. Off the top of my
Loki. Loki. I mean, I would say Loki as a charisma-based sorcerer. You could. He's definitely got some rogue skills there. You could say Loki conceivably could be a bard type. I'd buy that. But there are a number of good charisma-based villains. I would argue that the Joker is a charisma-based villain because he's primarily about the intimidation factor. Yes, he's smart. Yes, he uses devices, but
He could have always multi-classed.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a strength, dex, or con, or wisdom character. So what does that leave? Intelligence and charisma. Whose stats are those? The Bard.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, a lot of the Batman villains are either A, physical, or B, intellectual, but there is that subset of kind of intellectual manipulator types. So you've got like the Scarecrow. And the Scarecrow is, yes, he's a brilliant scientist with all these chemical potions and things, but he's all about making people feel fear. You know, he's essentially the intimidation skill as a character. Let's see, just from other Batman villains.
What about Ivy?
Ivy, I mean, if you're
she's a druid naturally. Right?
Yeah, yeah, she's definitely a druid. I'm trying to think who else would be charisma based out of the Bat family villains. Your Riddler and your Hugo Strange are both intellect. Two-Face is more of a fighter than a charismatic sort.
Yeah, Riddler. You already said Riddler.
Yeah, Riddler's just the intelligence score. Riddler is a rogue. Trying to think who else would I put as a charisma guy. There are a few here and there. You've got, oh gosh, oh shit, Mad Hatter.
Okay.
Mad Hatter is all about mind control, granted through devices, but you know, he's essentially got a gimmick based on Alice in Wonderland. He, you know, is at his heart very much a performer type in that mode. So yeah, I think the Mad Hatter is definitely charisma based to a large degree, though it's artificially enhanced charisma. Who else we got? We've got some other villains on the Marvel side that come to mind. There was the Purple Man, who was in Jessica Jones's Netflix show, and basically his power is super pheromones, so he can make people do what he wants them to do. And so it's essentially just super charisma as a power.
What was his name that was in... I also remember someone in Jessica Jones.
You're thinking of Kilgrave, which was that's his civilian name.
Oh, okay.
In the comics, he's the Purple Man.
Okay.
That's why every scene you see Kilgrave in Jessica Jones has a lot of purple in it.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they also use it as a visual cue when someone, I think, is under his influence. There's like more purple light cast through the scene.
Neat.
Let me think. I'll tell you who is a Bard supervillain. Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom?
Dr. Doom can do goddamn everything.
Okay.
He's a master scientist.
Okay.
He's a master wizard. He's got incredible, you know, charisma. He's the leader of a country.
And they love him for it.
And they love him. I think Dr. Doom might be a Bard villain. The alternative is that he's just multi-classed into just about everything.
No, I think you're right. Holy fuck. Dr. Doom's a fucking bard. Victor Von Doom.
Yes, the apotheosis of the Bard character villain.
Jesus Christ. And he's got the gravitas, too.
Yes.
He's very bombastic. Very, very just like, boom, I'm here.
Oh, he's a total fucking ham.
Yeah, and he and everybody has to love him and respect him.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, I think Loki's got a good case, but yeah, Dr. Doom, the more I think about it, is like, yeah, Dr. Doom is a Bard villain.
Yeah, he's the quintessential Bard villain. He's the best one. Because he does like you're right. He does a little bit of everything, and he is charismatic as fuck. Damn.
I would say he's the best Marvel example, and honestly, on the DC side, I think the Joker is probably the best Bard villain that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
If I go through it a little while, I can probably think of some others, but the Joker's really high profile. He was an entertainer in most of his backstory origins. You know, he's all about making people laugh. He's got the intimidation thing going on. He's like the dark, twisted, evil flip side of the Bard that turns all that swashbuckling joie de vivre on its head and make it just, you know, all nasty and deadly.
That's true. Damn. That's craziness. Now I think about it. And Joker also gets pissed off too when like things are figured out for him.
Yes.
Like what was it? Scarecrow that ripped off Bruce's mask at one point.
There have been some near misses on that. Yeah, where he's gotten upset. Like he doesn't want the game to end. You know, he doesn't care what the secret identity is.
Yeah, it's like that was the fun, and then he like went over to Bruce Wayne and is like, you know, Wayne Enterprises promised me a flying electric car. Where I put the down deposit for it. Where's my goddamn car, Bruce?
Oh yeah, from the Harley Quinn show.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the flamboyance of his crime.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's probably a bard. I'd say Joker's probably a good bard. Oh man. Oh. Gods. Sitting here trying not to choke on my fucking lungs here.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I had to take the day off today because of it, and I hope everything works out. I'm trying to figure out who we're gonna say hi to today, because we're getting near the end of our stream. Don't worry, Orange is around in a psychotic state. No. Basic electronics, we'll go with that.
While you're looking around for potential raid targets, I will mention something else, and maybe this will come up again, but one of the neat things I did in a recent game of Call of Cthulhu, Sarah is playing in this, and I knew Sarah's character was going to be having a dream, because she had actually seen an avatar of a great old one and gone temporarily insane. And so basically I decided the way her character was processing this is that she was dreaming, and she had this little pleasant experience with her father sitting on the docks, and then it would suddenly turn, and the rising sun, instead of being the sun, it was this giant silver sphere, which was the shape of the avatar she'd seen. And at the end of the dream, she basically would wake up right after it said her name.
And it noticed her.
Yes, Senpai noticed her.
Oh no.
and so what I did for that is I basically recorded my own voice saying her character's name, and then I slowed it down and pitched it down, and basically cut it up in Audacity so I could play it through my Bluetooth speakers that I sometimes use for music. And so I said, and your dream ends with this sound, and then I play it, and it's like, Morgan. And she was like, oh, just her eyes just...
She freaked out. She was like, no, I'm fucked.
and then I had her make a power roll, which is willpower, amongst other things, in Call of Cthulhu. And she made it very well. And I said, so the last time you had this dream, it went a little differently. And basically, she got the full name, Morgan Green. And then she was lucid dreaming, so she could actually talk to it. So she actually got to hold a conversation with the horrible old one thing.
Yeah, oh no. The only time I've ever used videos like audio like that was to make a King game, And I took my voice and I asked like 4 or 5 people I know who voice act on a forum, and we all recorded the same phrase.
Huh?
Which was a cult leader, like the chant.
Ah, there you go.
And so I played that, and like the players were just like, it was for an online game, so I played it through Discord, and they're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was, they kind of freaked out for a moment. They're like, oh, this is not good. Like, we're gonna get fucked here.
Hey, there's Max Dadbod.
I'm back to, just got home from work, gonna sit down and eat. Hey, Max, how's it going? We're trying to figure out who we want to raid, because we're just about to end, because I need a hot shower, because I'm still coughing up a fit from earlier.
And after you figure out who to raid, figure out who to Shadow Legend.
Who to Shadow Legend. We'll take suggestions. I'll take those. Alex is streaming, but his stream didn't go so great last time.
He was having trouble maintaining any kind of
connection, yeah.
Connection at the time, as I recall.
Yeah. Let me check something here. No, that person doesn't exist here. Okay, so they're here. So what are they playing? Oh, they're playing Apex. So many people are playing like Apex Legends and shit. I mean, I get it's a popular game. It's either that or Call of Duty Vanguard. I've seen that a lot too. Jeez. Where's this person playing? Answer me. Looks like some sort of shooter game. They don't have it labeled. Oh, we got Miss Jedi. Who? This is not Fallout 76. Someone's labeled as Fallout 76 in their Fortnite.
I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of Fallout 76 players would have been happier to get Fortnite.
At least initially.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. Let's see. How about Lethal? Lethal, are you? You in here? Alright, yeah, looks like someone's playing House Flipper. That'll be fun. It's nice and relaxing.
Cool.
So we'll go with that. We'll go raid Lethal.
Alright, well, I will get ready to hop off here.
Yep, alright, so join us, give me a second. If you're a follower, please use the following message. If you're a subscriber, please use the following message when we show Lethal some love. Join us tomorrow for Wildcard Wednesday, where we're continuing more Dragon Age until either A, I beat the game, or B, someone pays 5,000 critical rolls and we change games. Either one could happen. We'll see. Until then, make sure you're taking care of yourselves, both mentally and physically. And remember, it is always time for tea in the tavern. And stop fireballing the damn thing. So now, if you excuse me, I gotta go fix the tavern because it's burnt to a crisp now in several areas, and I gotta go repair that. So I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Toodles.
See ya.